The Cursed Town. Hi, my name is Chris and I want to share my story with you. I had always been curious about the old town that was said to be one of the most haunted places in the country. I had heard the stories since I was a child, and I always wondered if they were true. So one day, I decided to take a trip to the town and see for myself what was hidden in its corners and alleys. As I drove into the town, I noticed the buildings that looked abandoned and derelict. There was an eerie silence that hung over the place, and I could feel a chill run down my spine. I wandered around the town, admiring the stone facades and the twisting alleys. As I explored, I noticed an old shop. The paint was peeling off, and the sign above it read, "Mystical Trinkets." The shop was mysterious, and I knew that I had to go inside. After all, I had come all this way, and I was not going to let my nerves get the better of me. Once inside, I realized that this was no ordinary shop. The shelves were adorned with strange artifacts, and a low hum filled the air. As I perused the shelves, I encountered the store owner, a mysterious woman with an intense energy. She spoke in hushed whispers, telling me that the town was cursed, and once you enter, you may never leave. She warned me of the dangers that lurked on the streets and advised me on the rules that I had to follow to ensure my survival. I listened intently, eager to learn more. She told me that I had to stay in the shop until dawn, and she provided me with a cloak that was imbued with strange powers to keep me safe. However, I had to perform a ritual before leaving the store. I had to place a piece of silver on the counter and recite the incantation, else I would be doomed. As the night wore on, I began to hear strange whispers, knocking sounds, and movement out of the corner of my eye. The shop came alive, taking on a more sinister edge. I felt a sense of being watched, and I knew something was coming for me. I was regretting my decision to come to the town. I felt trapped and powerless, and I knew I had to hold on and survive until dawn. The hours seemed like an eternity, and with each passing moment, the town's paranormal activity grew more intense. As dawn finally broke, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I made my way to the counter of the shop to perform the ritual, but I couldn't find the silver piece. Panic set in. I frantically searched my pockets and turned to the store owner for help, but she just looked at me with a knowing gleam in her eye, as if to say, "I warned you I was trapped, and I knew it." There was no way out of the town now. I looked around, and I could feel the spirits and otherworldly creatures closing in on me. I was going to be just another victim of the haunted town. As I stood there, frantically searching for the silver piece, I could feel the spirits closing in all around me. My heart raced, and sweat dripped down my forehead. I knew I had to find the silver or face the wrath of the town. Suddenly, I saw something gleaming in the corner of my eye. It was the silver piece, lying on the floor. I picked it up and placed it on the counter, reciting the incantation as instructed. At that moment, I felt a sudden gust of wind, and the store owner vanished into thin air. The trinkets on the shelves rattled, and I realized that I was all alone in the store. As soon as I left the store, I felt a chill run down my spine as I felt the eyes of the town's residents watching me. I walked out of the store and into the streets, feeling uneasy. The town was eerily silent, and I expected something to jump out at me at any moment. The wind howled, and leaves rustled, adding to the ominous atmosphere. I saw shadows lurking in the alleyways and heard whispers behind my back. I tried to keep my head down and move forward, but I felt like I was being watched. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the shadows and ran towards me. I turned and saw a man dressed in old-fashioned clothing, his eyes glowing red. He lunged at me with a knife, and I dodged, almost falling to the ground. I ran, my heart pounding in my chest, and my legs gave out. I hit the pavement hard, and the man came closer. I could feel the cold metal of his knife against my neck, and I knew that this was it. As he raised his knife to strike, a sudden gust of wind blew him away from me, and somehow, I managed to escape from him. Suddenly, I woke up, gasping for air. I was in a small room, lying on a cot. I rubbed my eyes and looked around, trying to understand what had happened. The room was dimly lit, and the walls were covered in cobwebs. The air was musty and smelled of decay. I got up and walked to the door, and it creaked as I pushed it open. I was in an old abandoned building, and I realized that I had been kidnapped. Someone had taken me while I was running away from the man with the knife. I spent the next few hours trying to find a way out of the building. The windows were all boarded up, and the doors were locked. I sensed that I was not alone in the building. I heard footsteps and whispers around me, and I knew that I was being watched. I realized that I had to stay alert and find a way to escape before it was too late. As night came, strange sounds started emanating from the walls of the building, and I could hear murmurs and whispers all around me. I knew that I was running out of time. As I continued to search for a way out, I stumbled upon an old diary. The diary belonged to a woman who had lived in the town 100 years ago. She had documented the strange happenings in the town and how she had managed to survive. The diary was filled with stories of ghosts, demonic possessions, and intense supernatural activity. I realized that the town had not changed in all these years and that I was a victim of its curse. As I continued to read, I discovered a way to break the curse. I had to light a fire with specific herbs and say special incantations as the fire burned. I suddenly heard footsteps and whispers coming from the stairwell. I hid behind a stack of crates, waiting for the source of the noise to reveal itself. As the footsteps got closer, I saw a group of people dressed in strange robes, carrying a large chalice. They were chanting in an ancient language, and I knew that they were not human. I had stumbled upon a cult that worshipped the supernatural entities of the town, and I knew that I had to get out of there before they noticed me. I ran, trying to escape the building. As I reached the door, I saw that it was guarded by 2 of the cult members. They spotted me and began chasing after me. I ran through the streets, not knowing where to go. I could hear the cult members behind me, and I was sure that they would catch me soon. As I rounded the corner, I saw someone who looked like the priest I had seen before. He beckoned me to follow him, and I realized that there might still be hope. The priest took me to a hidden room in the church, and I was shaken by what I saw. The walls were covered in symbols, and I could feel an intense energy emanating from the room. The priest explained that the only way to break the curse was to perform a ritual with him. It would take place later that night, and everything had to be perfect. As night fell, I could feel the fear mounting within me. I knew that the cult members would find us soon, and we had to act quickly. As the time for the ritual neared, I could feel every muscle in my body tensing up. I recited the incantations with the priest and lit the fire. The smoke rose, and the smell of the herbs filled the room. Suddenly, the ground began to shake, and the walls began to tremble. The cult members burst into the room, and I knew that this was it. I saw the fear in the priest's eyes, and he grabbed my hand, never letting go. As the cult members attacked, I felt intense pain, but somehow I managed to complete the ritual. The last thing I remember was a bright light enveloping me, and then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital room. The priest sat by my side, and I could see the immense relief on his face. He explained that the ritual had worked, and the curse had been broken. The town was back to normal, and the supernatural entities that had haunted it for centuries had vanished. As I left the town, I looked back, grateful to be alive. The town that had once been my enemy was now just a distant memory, and I knew that I would never forget the experiences that I had there.